I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Matt once again. We're about to another paid request, and if anyone's interested in sending in requests, there'll be reviews, topics, reactions, re-reviews, news, pretty much anything. Feel free to send it either PayPal or join my Patreon, both down below in the info box. Again, it could be pretty much anything, whether PayPal or join my Patreon. Links are down below. Now, this is for Snoop Dogg's Hood of Horror, or Hood of Horrors. And when I saw the title, I got this confused with another movie I had seen called Trailer Park of Terror. Because I'm like, oh no, this movie. And then I watched it and went, oh, okay, it's another movie. And I have seen this film before, but it's been a while. But as I started watching, I'm like, oh, it's coming back to me. It's a horror anthology, 3 stories. The wraparound is done in this really cool animation style, kind of an Afro samurai animation style, where Snoop Dogg's character was fighting a rival gang, his sister got killed by Ricochet, and he cuts a deal pretty much with the devil, his life for his sister, so his sister comes back to life, but he dies, and now he's serving in hell probably forever. And so again, the wraparound, it was cool to see that type of animation. It's a fuckle better than, sadly, even better than the animation Creepshow 2. And as an anthology, it wasn't that bad. It's not perfect. It's not like a 5 out of 5 star one. But if you're someone that got disappointed in the Tales from the Hood sequels, because I would put the first Tales from the Hood above this. But this is more Tales from the Hood 2 than Tales from the Hood 2 and 3. Like, this is the better Tales from the Hood sequel. I really do believe that. I really do. Because the 3 stories, at least there's stuff in each of these 3 stories I like. My least favorite is probably the first story, but I do like the idea, the setup I should say, where this girl, she does graffiti. Her character's name is Posey. She has a backstory where her mother was killed and her father or stepfather, one or the other, like, killed himself. So he has a real hatred for gang members and people in the neighborhood that are bad fucking people. So she stands up for herself. She doesn't let people give her shit. These gang members, gang bangers, try to come up on her, and she's like, I need GPS to find that chocolate chip you call a dick. I did like that line. And then one day, Danny Trejo, very dirty, mucked up Danny Trejo, brings her and gives her this tattoo and says, you have the power. Now, technically it's the power to create or the power to destroy, based on her being a graffiti artist. So, of course, she uses it to destroy, and if she sees someone, their name on a wall, she'll, of course, blood red spray tan, spray X out their name. And each time she X's out someone's name, they ultimately die a death kind of in a Final Destination type of way. What I mean by that is, like, she scratches an X out, the person's falling with their gun and accidentally shoots themselves. Or falls and they fall on a 40. Now, it's ridiculous and silly, but I did like the effect. The guy falls, and the 40 went under the chin and through the guy's head. Although it's a cool practical effect. It's goofy, stupid, but it did make me laugh. Billy D. Williams, Lando himself, makes an appearance as a preacher who's like, hey, stay here, work on the mural. But no, she's just too consumed with vengeance and keeps going on and on. And you have certain lines, like when the guy's head goes through the 40, she's like, what a waste of beer. However. Before I go on, we're going to get more into spoilers. At least with each of these stories, there's people that was cool to see get appearances from. The second story has Ernie Hudson and Richard Gant. That's the guy who's Touch Me and I'll Sue and Rocky 5. The wannabe Don King in Rocky 5. You touch me, I'll sue. That's Richard Gant. He's also in the second story. And like Ernie Hudson, cool to see him in there. The third story, Diamond Dallas makes an appearance. DDP. Jason Alexander from Seinfeld makes an appearance. Ari Spears, if you like Mad TV, it's a very different role for Ari Spears. Lynn Shay, who now has become more famous for the Conjuring films, she makes an appearance. Again, at least the wraparound's a cool animation. Each one is at least trying to tell some type of morality story where a person does get their comeuppance in some way, shape, or fashion. The makeup effects are done practically. They don't go the CGI route, which I appreciate. So you get some pretty decent practical effects. You do get some, if you like Snoop Dogg music, you do get some Snoop Dogg music. Each of the stories at least have their own flavor, as in one doesn't feel like a copy of the other story. And because it's 3 stories, they have at least a little bit of room to breathe. Because there's some anthologies that try to put way too fucking many. That's one of my issues with, I think it was Tales of Halloween. Also this one called Holidays. They just try to cram so much into there. It's like, no, when you try to crawl in like 10 of them, someone just, there's no way to have room to breathe. So is blinking you miss it, and what did I really get out of it? That's the hindrance when you try to force in so many. I guess their thinking is, well, if you don't like 1, maybe you'll like 2. If you don't like 2, maybe you'll like 3. If you like enough, you'll like the movie. But it's like, maybe that's why, you know, some of my favorite anthologies are like Cat's Eye. Cat's Eye might be my favorite, and that's 3 stories. I like Creepshow. I like Trick or Treat. I would say those are my 3 favorite anthologies. Horror anthologies. Okay. Cat's Eye, Creepshow, Trick or Treat. But Tales from the Hood is up there. Again, this is actually not too bad. More spoilers starting now with the first story. I thought it was a bit, with the whole morality thing, I thought, I wasn't 100% sure she deserved her fate. Yeah, I get it that vengeance is the wrong way to go. And Danny Trejo's like, well, you're I gave you the power. You could have created beautiful flowers and in this area, but instead you ramped up the violence. You put in fast forward, so to speak. So now the ones you've killed, they come back, they grab her. I like the effect. They put a fucking spray tan right through her fucking head, and like blood comes out of her eyeballs. I thought that was a really cool, nasty, bloody effect. And then the blood splashes on the wall, and then she dies, kind of becomes part of the wall. And so the next day or two, she's missing, but they think this is her painting on the wall. But I'm like, well, Danny Trejo, you gave her this tattoo. You could have said a couple fucking things about it at least. And it's not like... I think the story would work better if she crossed out a name and it was an innocent person. Or she crossed out a name, but the bad thing they did was steal a candy bar. Honestly, I think that's how the story would have... It would have worked better as a morality tale. Because the people she's killing are pieces of shit that are ready to rape women or shoot people in convenience stores. To me, I'm like, fuck it. Let her be the Punisher in this state of affairs. So I don't think like I said, the morality does not work 100% because of that. Like I said, if you want the morality in that story to work as it's supposed to, as you're trying to teach us, the viewer, she should have sprayed a name that was an innocent person, or she was mistaken. She let her vengeance get away from her. She went too far. To me, she never went too far here. Most people may go, well, I don't think she really went too far. These are pieces of trash. Sure. Why should I feel sorry for them? So then, when you get to the end, I'm like, well, her death really wasn't justified. And then her being one of the souls that goes to hell, I'm like, she's kind of doing the same thing what the Punisher did. And I love the Punisher. Dolph Lundgren or Thomas Jane. But I don't know. That's why that's the weakest story for me. But yeah, I like some of the effects. I like the idea. I think the script needed a few rewrites. Again, to further justify the morality of it. But it was cool to see Billy D. Williams in there. The second story, I would say, is my favorite of the three. This complete racist redneck couple, the accent. One of them kills his dad, who is friends with these 4 Vietnam vets, which all 4 happen to be black. In order for the couple to receive their share of this inheritance, they're supposed to live with these Vietnam vet friends of the guy's father. But then the racist couple decides, hey, let's starve them out, let's get them sick. Either they'll move out or they die. Then we'll get their money, we'll get their place. We could turn this or we could sell it. We could make quite a penny. And all they care about the money and moolah. And this, again, racist white couple with a little dog. And the 4 Vietnam vets, they decided to stick with it because they really cared for the guy's dad. And they say, hey, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here. Maybe he wants us to teach his son about honor and courage. We've been through worse, men, huh? We could do this. And they're talking about how... And the men are led by Ernie Hudson. And I'm a big Ernie Hudson fan from Ghostbusters, Leviathan, The Crow. So that was cool to see in there. So again, they deal with it because they respect the father. They don't want to go out there because they feel they won't last 5 minutes. We just have to wait them out. And you see her ratcheting up. You owe us money. Sign over your pensions. We're going to spam these rooms so you don't go over here. Our friend is sick. No, tough shit. What, you're feeding your dog caviar but we're starving? it really does make you hate. Which the redneck couple is very over the top comedically. So I wasn't sure how I felt about that at first, but I thought, okay, it makes the story more fun than dour. It's still serious stuff happening, but because they're being so over the top and so caricature rednecks, it makes it a bit of a, like I said, more of a fun story on that aspect. And then they definitely get their comeuppance, which is satisfying. Spoiler alert, spoilers. Their friend dies of sickness. Ernie Hudson has had enough. He even tells them, men, it's time for battle. They get in their military gear, and they force feed the lady the caviar until her fucking stomach explodes. Good effect. You did not need the fart sounds because she's being force fed so much caviar. She's letting out gas. You didn't need the farting. Come on now. That I would say that was the worst part of that story. Is that you didn't need that. It was too stupid, too annoying. But then the stomach explosion looked cool. The guy they tied to a wheelchair, he gets his neck impaled by a bullhorn that's on the wall. Nice effect. So it didn't. Seeing these vets get their revenge on these two assholes, these two redneck yahoos, some decent practical effects. Yeah, I didn't mind that story. You just didn't need the fart sound effects. And yes, the redneck couple is over the top, but I was fine with it in this instance. The third and last story is these two rappers. One begs God, prays to God, asking if you could do this, if I could be successful, I'll change my ways, I'll work for the community. And so lo and behold, he gets with this other guy, played by Ari Spears from Mad TV, and they become successful rappers. Meteoric rise of success. But the one guy who promised to God, he gets blinded. It cuts to, he's a success, he wins an award, and the buddy, Ari Spears, has passed away. Diamond Dallas Page plays the guy's agent. And then Lin Shaye arrives, and she even says, you promised God. You promised if God answered your prayers, you'd be a better person. It pretty much goes through the this is your life phase, where, hey, you signed with Jason Alexander, Alexander was ready to kick your ass out, but Ari Spears, your buddy, saved your ass, saved your sorry ass. And to keep the team together. Or our piece of shit lead character in this segment got into a statutory rape situation. And Ari Spears like, what the hell's going on? I thought this was about music. Until ultimately, spoilers, the guy hired DDP to do a robbery. Ari Spears gets killed during the robbery. And then Ari Spears comes in, he's a zombie, and he's having fun, making jokes, and the makeup is there. It's alright. I've seen worse. I've seen better. But, he's being more of a jokester. It's like, hey, giving the guy shit. Even fucking stabs through DDP's eyes. Until ultimately the rapper's like, fuck, I'm ready to go to jail. The undead Ari Spears has framed him for murder, so he decides to go out shooting at cops and just shot to shit. I thought the acting was fine. It was cool to see Diamond Dallas Page there. It was cool to see Lin Shaye, Jason Alexander in there. I don't really have a lot of issues with the story. I thought it was fine. And that's what I mean. Like the movie itself was fine. There was nothing that made me feel deeply in one way or another, like Tales from the Hood. Like, you really hate Corbin Burnson's character, or the David Allen Greer abusing the kid, that really made you feel something. That's not the case here. But it's better than Tales from the Hood 2. We had the giant fucking wannabe gingerbread man motherfucker trying to kill people. Like Tales from the Hood 2. Like I said, at least these stories are attempting to have some kind of morality. Some better than others. At least it's 3 stories, so you have a little bit of room to breathe with each of them. At least the wraparound, I can enjoy the Afro Samurai style animation. Snoop Dogg, I don't mind as a personality. I could watch this more than fucking Bones. I think it's better than Bones. Like, some of the cameos were cool to see, like Ernie Hudson, and Billy D. Williams, and DDP. It didn't feel like it went too long. There's a couple good kills and practical effects. Like I said, some stories are better than others, writing-wise, or there's bits here and there I don't care for. But overall, I thought it was a decent anthology. Not great, but decent. I've seen so much worse. I mean, Creepshow 3, some found footage anthologies, like VHS, the first one, or the Dark Tapes, Tales from the Hood 2, those are way worse than this. So again, if you saw Tales from the Hood sequels, you didn't get your fix on that, maybe this would, because I do think it's better than those. So with that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.